Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a special session of the City Council to be held on Tuesday, March 29th, 2022, at 6:30 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of adopting the City of Dubuque annual budget for fiscal year 2023.
Thank you. Good evening, and welcome to a special session of the Dubuque City Council for March 29th, 2022. As a reminder to our participants, you can provide in-person input or virtual audio and written input during tonight's public hearing. Input options during the live meeting include: in-person attendees may approach the podium when the mayor asks if there is any public input for the public hearing. Remote attendees can log into GoToMeeting using the login links, phone numbers, and access code that appear on the broadcast and live stream and posted on the front page of the meeting agenda. This option includes audio input and written chat input. If you are participating via computer, indicate that you would like to speak in the chat function. If you are participating via phone, indicate that you would like to speak when phone lines are unmuted. City staff will determine the speaking order of the participants. All comments, whether in person or virtual, must be accompanied by a name and address. Additionally, written public input is accepted by contacting the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/councilcontacts and through the City Clerk's office email at ctyclerk@cityofdubuque.org. Attendance for the session is as follows: Mayor Kavanaugh,
Here.
Council members Farber,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
Resnick,
Here.
Roussel,
Here.
Sprank,
Here.
City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
Thank you. Mayor Kavanaugh, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Adrian. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that we're clear on the outline for the evening for everybody up here and then everybody in the public and out there as well. So the last chance for any public input on the budget that is before us tonight is going to be during this first public hearing. So that'll be our last opportunity for any public input. Anything else on the agenda after that is going to be action items that are just handled up here at the council desk. So I wanted to make sure that that's clear. So we'll make it very clear when the public input is accepted. As far as up here, just to make sure that we're all clear on the process for what we're looking at, we've held some of the items throughout the process for separate discussion. Those items are within the memo, so the memo that's attached to this, so we should be able to talk about those items. But tonight is also our last chance to be able to talk about any other changes. And I know that I'm making Jennifer Larson very nervous when I say that, but I just want to make that very clear that legally this is really our last chance. We have to have this budget passed by the end of this month, so tonight is the night that we'd like to be able to do that. So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out, and if we have any sort of process questions along the way, just feel free to ask them. So with that, I'll turn it back to Adrian then to kick us off.
Tonight's public hearing is amended fiscal year 2023 budget recommendation.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the documents and adopt the two resolutions.
Second by Farber.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Jones and a second by Ms. Farber. Mike, I understand you have a presentation for us.
Yes, thank you. City Manager Mike Van Milligan. So what you'll hear tonight is an amended recommendation from the recommendation that I originally made. And the two major changes are that I'm recommending to add the environmental sanitarian position to the budget. That was something that the council had asked to hold for further discussion for tonight. And the way we're funding that, it's about, in round numbers, about $82,545 is, and plus $4,850 for equipment. We're funding it by, there was a change in a grant in the Housing and Community Development Department where $40,000 we had for a match wasn't required, so we're able to use that money. We're making some changes in the budget recommendation related to the Office of Equity and Human Rights. And as we discussed that night, it's where they had 4 improvement packages, and we were able to switch some of the improvement packages around, which saved $31,078. There was a savings of $1,400 in the information services budget, which totals $72,478. And we're recommending that the positions start later in the fiscal year, so it would not start July 1st. It's not something that I would routinely do, but since the funding gap was just so small between being able to fund the position and not, I thought it was a reasonable. And the other thing is it'll probably take that long to recruit a person anyway. So That's the major amendment to the budget, is adding the environmental sanitarian position and revising the Office of Equity and Human Rights decision packages. The tax levy and tax rate that I'm recommending is the same as my original recommendation. And so the tax rate would be a decrease of 1.74% from the current year tax rate. The tax asking amount of just over 26 million is the same as the current fiscal year, so there's no increase or decrease in the amount of property taxes we're asking to collect. And so what is that tax rate? What's the impact on the four major classifications of property in the city? The average residential property owner would see a 2.96% increase in their property tax payment of $22.74. The average commercial property owner would see almost a 5% decrease in their property taxes, or about $154. The average industrial property would see almost a 4% decrease in their property taxes, or $180. And the average multi-residential property, which is above a two-flat, would be just over a 7% decrease, or a decrease of $126 in their payment. So how do we compare? There's only 11 cities in the state of Iowa with a population greater than 50,000. So we can always compare our property tax rate against those cities. And based on what we've learned from the other cities, we would have the lowest property tax rate of those 11 cities. Waterloo, who has the highest rate, their rate would be 98% higher than Dubuque's property tax rate. And the average of the other 10 cities would be 55% higher than our property tax rate. If you look at taxable value by per capita with the same comparison, the same 11 cities counting Dubuque, we would have the second lowest property tax per capita collection. West Des Moines would have the highest at 124% higher than Dubuque, and the average of the other 10 cities is 62% higher than what Dubuque would be collecting. Then there's also changes in the utility rates. So for the water utility, we're recommending a 5% rate increase. Once again, comparing ourselves with the other cities, and in this case, we only use the cities who soften their water, a very expensive process, but also one that significantly increases the quality of the water that's delivered. And we would have the second lowest water rate. West Des Moines, who's the highest, would be 26% higher than Dubuque, and the average of the other cities would be 8% higher than Dubuque. When you look at the sanitary sewer rate, we're recommending a 9% increase. In that case, we would have the fourth highest rate, and Davenport, the highest, would be 41% higher than Dubuque. The average of the other cities would be 10% lower than Dubuque. In solid waste, we're not recommending any change in the solid waste rate. You can see of the 11, we're the fourth lowest. Ames is at the highest, is 89% higher than our refuse rate, monthly rate, and the average of the other cities is 19% higher than our refuse rate. In the area of stormwater, we're recommending a 1.69% increase for FY23. I do want to point out, because of some of the debt we'll be issuing to accomplish some of these projects this year related to our stormwater program, we are basically committing to next year, FY24, being at least an increase from $9 to $9.45. That won't actually be part of the ordinance tonight. We'll, of course, do everything we can to moderate that next year, but I do want to offer that bit of information. And you can see that we have the second highest stormwater rate at $9. Des Moines is the highest, which is 72% higher than our rate, and the average is 29% lower than our rate. I'd say other than Cedar Rapids, I don't think there's another community that has anywhere near the stormwater issues that we have. And of course, being on the Mississippi River, it's just really compounded the things that we have to do. And then you look at our topography, and as we all know, water runs downhill. It really creates a lot of stormwater challenges for us. And so that's the reason that our rates are higher than other people. The mayor and city council in 2015 had adopted a policy to, so 2015, but the first year it affected was the FY 2016 budget, to each year try and reduce the amount of debt that the city has. And the way that that's being accomplished is each year attempting to issue less debt than is retired in each of the years. So realizing we have to issue debt to accomplish these large projects, but the goal is each year to issue less debt than is retired in that year. And so one of the things you have to pay attention to in the state of Iowa is there's a statutory debt limit in the Constitution, and it's 5% of your assessed valuation. And so this shows how are we doing as far as our relationship to our statutory debt limit. And you can see in FY 17, we reached, actually I think that's FY 16, I'm sorry. We reached 89.9% of our statutory debt limit, or of course 90% of our statutory debt limit. And then we've been implementing the debt reduction strategy ever since. And you can see in FY 23, which is the budget you're considering tonight, if you approve it, we'll be at 41.1% of our statutory debt limit. And part of the significance of that is if there's ever any kind of crisis, you do want to have some room in your statutory debt limit, so you could issue debt to deal with whatever that catastrophe or crisis might happen to be. And this shows retired debt versus new debt. So back to your policy, is the goal is to retire more debt each year than we issue. And you can see that the lighter colored line is new debt and the blue line is retired debt. And you can see that every year we are accomplishing that, where we're retiring more debt than is being issued, and that will continue in the 5-year capital improvement program that you're approving. Now, the one word of caution I do want to offer here is we do not know yet. So we talked about the $1.1 trillion federal infrastructure bill, and that 60% of that is going to be distributed to communities across and states across the country through competitive grants. And some of that is going to be forgivable loans, which means first you have to borrow the money. And specifically related to sewer and water, it's called the SRF program. We use it all the time for debt issuances because it's low interest subsidized debt payments from the federal and state government. And we're being told that there's a high potential that some of those loans may be 49% forgivable. And so we may end up exceeding the debt limit in some years. You would have to approve that. That's if we did qualify to get basically half of a project forgiven. It would seem like it would be a good thing to recommend to access those dollars and let the federal government pay for half the cost of the project. But we're not in that situation right now, so we are showing what you're approving tonight is we are meeting all the qualifications of your debt reduction strategy. And then, as I mentioned, there's this legal debt limit for every city in the state of Iowa. So back to comparing ourselves to the other 10 cities that exceed the population of 50,000. And you can see at 41%, using 41% of our statutory debt limit, that we're at the 5th lowest use of our statutory debt limit out of the 11 cities. And then the mayor and city council has a policy that we keep a general fund reserve of at least 20% of our annual expenses. You can see for FY 23, if you approve this, we're projecting we'll be over 22% of reserves and be well over 20% throughout the 5-year capital improvement program that's approved here. And, of course, our goal is to create an equitable community of choice, a high-performance organization and community that is data-driven and outcome-focused, built on the 4 pillars of resiliency, sustainability, equity, compassion, through planning, partnerships, and people. And not only do we think this budget meets this, but even more importantly, every August, the mayor and city council establishes their goals and priorities, and we believe that we've been able to meet your goals and priorities through this budget recommendation. And this is my final slide, but before I wrap up, I really want to thank Jennifer Larson, our finance and budget director, who her and her team that put all the work in to put this budget together. It's extremely complex, and it's also very engaged. In other words, Jennifer works very closely with all the department managers as they determine what resources they need to accomplish their goals and priorities. And she does her best to make sure as many of those can be funded as possible, and at the same time taking into consideration the fact that the taxpayers and ratepayers have to financially support those things. So thank you very much, Jennifer, and thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. So we'll open for public comment first, and I'll just go ahead and do that on my end here, Adrian, this time. We are in a public hearing to consider adopting the City of Dubuque fiscal year 2023 annual budget and the City of Dubuque 5-year capital improvement program. Do we have anyone from the public to address us on this? Anyone virtually?
No virtual comments.
There was public input received today by Kathy Gukeisen of 566 St. George Street. That has been uploaded to the agenda item.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Last call. All right, then I'll bring it back to the table for discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
as usual, staff has brought us a nice package with a bow on it that exactly represents the council's wishes and desires, and keeps us from moving the number. We did authorize a slightly higher number if necessary. That wasn't necessary because of the sharp pencils used in calculating this, and the end result is, I think, fantastic for the city of Dubuque, for the citizens, for the future of our organization, for the safety of our employees, and keeps us on a path to doing more better. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Roussel.
Thank you. Throughout this month, we have taken the time to go through hundreds of pages of material to help us understand all the reasons and the impacts behind this proposed budget. I know there were also several newspaper articles for residents to read, but there's so much more information available, and I hope people take advantage of that. As we listen to the presentations from each department manager, it's been so impressive to see how each one has the passion and the expertise to lead his or her area of focus, and how you all work together to build success. And looking at the improvement packages, I could see a focus on safety, personal safety, food safety, cybersecurity, fire, police, employee safety, and so much more that's going to benefit each one of us and our families. There's a focus on helping our community be prepared to leverage those federal dollars that are uniquely available right now, but only to those that are prepared. And being ready will allow us to move forward on projects and save taxpayer dollars. As one of our community's largest employers, we need to make sure that we're an employer of choice. And this budget will be providing tools and personnel and the people we need to work safely, efficiently, and effectively to provide the best service to our citizens. No one likes an increase, but I believe this budget delivers all this and more, balanced with a very minimal increase for the average homeowner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roussel.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Farber?
Yes, so thank you to Laura for that wonderful summary, and I totally agree with all of the comments that she had made. But I would like to go back to Rick's comment about appreciating the sharp pencils. And most importantly, I just wanted to give a recall to the citizens listening and to those of you here tonight that our property tax rate is really only 31.2% of all of the tax that we are incurred, if you will, during the property tax rate that we do receive. And I wanted just to just remind us that not only did Jennifer and Mike and everybody else do such a great job of keeping it within the recommended percent for the tax, that because of that, and because of that sharp pencil, we are in a great position going forward, as Mike talked about, in terms of the reserves, the statutory debt limit, going forward as we deal with Moody's once again for our bond rating, and all of these things that go above and beyond just the tax rate that help the city move forward with our infrastructure needs in particular. I think my hat just goes off to the team, because basically we are being very good stewards here of the financing going forward. So it is with great appreciation. And also, similar to last year when I was learning all about this process for the budgeting, my hat goes off again to the fact that each department was easy to understand, that the details behind what the profit improvement packages were was very recognizable and appreciated. And it was all pretty much similar enough that we could follow pretty much with ease, if you will, and just again in support of all of the pillars of our strategy and our goals. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Farber.
Mayor.
Mr. Resnick.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to express my appreciation that the amended bill that we're going to work on tonight still includes the original tax rate and spending levels. So I appreciate the flexibility in listening to council, and I originally said yes to this, and I'm going to say yes to it tonight. It checks the boxes. My three major boxes are lower tax rate, lower debt, and healthy reserves. Mr. Van Milligan just pointed out those. But more than that, I mean, obviously, even in the best of times, life is a struggle. The last 2 years have not been the best of times. So I want to thank Mr. Van Milligan and his team for preparing this budget that not only reflects the council goals, but ensures that all Dubuque citizens are supported with high-quality services. It's very important. All citizens are supported. I also want to thank our citizens who are working to improve our lives here in Dubuque. That includes those citizens who point out the great things that are happening and are cheering along, and the citizens who point out just how much further we have to go, and that things need to change, and things are changing, and we're going to do our best to make things better. So I think that's a great balance of saying, I used to tell my students who are going to be teachers, you need to be moderately optimistic when working with students. And I think this is a moderately optimistic budget, and our city is at a moderately optimistic time. We know things are going pretty well, and that's because of a lot of hard work from good people. And we know we can improve. Can we do it? I'm moderately optimistic. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. Yeah, Mr. Spring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really want to thank staff. You put in a tremendous amount of work. I know you had some improvement packages that you all wanted to happen, but we couldn't make them all happen. I was listening, though, to those and packages that we couldn't approve. So we've got goal setting coming up, so maybe we can work some of those into our goal setting. So thank you for all the good work. And thank you to citizens. We got a lot of good input on things, and not such good input, but that's all right. That's the nature of what we do. We sometimes we take the good with the bad. And as well as the fact that the patience in letting us have that possible wiggle room, as I like to call it, that we didn't need. So I'm really glad that everything came out nice. And so, yeah, with that, I'll be passing this budget tonight. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Spring. Well, as usual, everybody says the good stuff, so I'm still going to talk, though, because that's the way it works. So, you know, I love this process. I love the way that we do this in this city. I've been saying a lot lately to people, because people are starting to get together again. I don't know if you've noticed, but, you know, big groups of people. And I've been saying a lot to them, you know, this is an exciting place to be. I'm excited that you're here. It's an exciting place to be. And I feel that absolutely honestly, that there's a lot of excitement kind of right at our doorstep and so much great work that's been going on so far. I mean, you have a lot to be proud of. Everybody in here who is a city employee has a lot to be proud of. And I think our city manager and assistant city manager and all of us that are up here have a lot to be proud of. With that said, I'm excited, but I'm concerned a little bit too about some things that we're seeing off in the distance. We're having a bit of a rough legislative session here in Iowa as far as taxation goes. And if anybody's watching it, what you're seeing is off in the future, a lot of the work for providing services through taxation is going to be falling on local government. So what we're going to be seeing is a high chance that having really, continuing to have property tax decreases and those types of things, it's going to be harder and harder and harder in the next 5 to 10 years. So based on what we see tonight, I don't see another city in Iowa that's better equipped for that right now, that's better positioned to be able to absorb some of those complex property tax decisions that we're going to have coming at us in the future. We're also positioning ourselves very well to be able to have a real discussion about big projects like Five Flags, for example. This is a community discussion that we need to have, and it's going to involve property tax money, and we need to be able to do that with knowing that we're sitting in a good position already. So we're there, and we're there because of incredible work. I mean, this is an incredible budget. I'm really impressed by it. We have the lowest property tax rate in the state of Iowa, and you know how much we're doing? I mean, we've all been paying attention to this. There's so much happening. And we didn't get everything we wanted. You never do. That's not the way it works. But we have a lot to be proud of in this budget, and I'm excited about what this next year holds for all of us. So I also plan to vote for this, and very, very happy with what we're seeing here. And then after this, we'll just get ready for a whole lot of motioning and seconding, I think. So any other discussion? Okay. And with that said, then we have a motion on the table to receive and file, adopt the 2 resolutions. So Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
That motion passes 6-0. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you.
We'll move on to our action items. Action item number 1 is Code of Ordinances Amendment, Title 13 Public Utilities, Chapter 1 Water Use and Service.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive the communications and further move that the requirement that proposed ordinances be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting in which they are finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprank.
All right, and Mr. Jones, just really quickly, I heard you say receive, but did you want to add receive and file to that as well?
If I missed it, I meant it.
Okay,
I meant to say it.
Okay, so we'll add file to that as well then. So we have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Sprank. Any discussion?
I did use the plural. I'd like to waive the readings for both ordinances.
Thank you. Yes, both ordinances. Thank you for that clarification. All right. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of both ordinances.
Second by Sprank.
We have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 2 is Code of Ordinances Amendment, Title 13 Public Utilities, Chapter 2 Sewers and Sewage Disposal.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell.
I move to receive and file the documents and further move that the requirement that the proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Farber.
We have a motion by Ms. Russell and a second by Ms. Farber. Any discussion? All right, Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh. Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Russell.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Farber.
Motion by Russell, second by Farber. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 3 is Code of Ordinances Amendment, Title 13 Public Utilities, Chapter 4 Stormwater Management.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
Move to receive and file the communications, and further move that the requirement that proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Roussel.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Roussel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye. Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Roussel. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 4 is Code of Ordinance Amendment, Title 13 Public Utilities, Chapter 6 Solid Waste.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move to receive and file the communications, and further move that the requirement that a proposed ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is to be finally passed be suspended.
Second by Sprang.
Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Jones.
I move final consideration and passage of the ordinance.
Second by Sprang.
Motion by Jones, second by Sprank. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick. Kavanaugh. Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Action item number 5 is 5-year street construction program for fiscal years 2023 to 2027.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Farber.
I move that we receive and file and adopt the resolutions.
Second by Resnick.
Motion by Farber, second by Resnick. Adrian, would you call the roll, please?
Roussel.
Aye.
Resnick.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Sprank.
Aye.
Farber.
Aye.
Jones.
Motion passes 6-0. There being no further business. Yes, Mr. Jones.
Just a quick comment. A lot of people watching this might be wondering what all just happened. And we passed a budget, which is complex, big, huge. And that budget required the change of each of those ordinances that we fairly rapidly changed to an act to enable the new budget. So that's what that was all about. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Mr. Jones. I'm learning from
We
you
usually
as we
don't treat
speak.
them quite that quickly.
Right, yeah. But we've been spending quite a bit of time talking about them. So there being no further business on the agenda, then we are adjourned.